Well,
Oh,
looks as what's going to
oh,
work.
there we go. There we go.
Looks as what's going to work.
It's letting me do it. Got
Let
it.
us do it.
Whoop,
I'm just
whoop.
sweating.
We're live. We're live.
We're live.
Happening.
I'm just going to check.
Not safe. Oh,
we're live. We're in the group.
Now can you see then who's watching? Have you got your, like, because I can't see any of that, obviously.
So I can see it on my phone who's watching.
Right.
So
you'll
that's
be able to see if there's any questions and stuff from
any
people.
questions. Yes, we will absolutely come to questions. So we're here, ladies. There was technical difficulties as per usual, but yes, a very warm welcome to everybody watching live, joining us in the replay. I am so excited to be talking to the utterly brilliant Scottish actress, comedian and singer Leah MacRae, who you maybe all know from the much loved star from shows such as RiverCity, Gary Tank Commander, Rosie, Molloy Gives Up Everything, 51 Shades of Maggie, to name but a few, and who is also taking the nation by storm at the moment with her one-woman show, Leah MacRae Weighs In. Leah, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us on International Women's Day.
What an intro, by the way. I feel amazing now. I'm like, oh God, that's quite a nice wee CV. No, isn't it lovely? What a lovely day that we managed to do it on this day. So brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. And I was saying to you before we got started, and I was flapping about the technical difficulties, I do feel a bit starstruck.
You won't for long.
Oh, I'm loving it. So we're here to talk about your show, and we've got an unmissable competition for everyone.
Yeah.
But before we did that, I wanted to chat to you just a wee bit more about your journey today in show business. And obviously it's International Women's Day, so let's have a chat about female empowerment. So if it's okay with you, Leah, I'll run through some questions and then I'll see if anybody's got some questions, anyone's got questions in the group. Okay, so question one. Female empowerment is really what the GGC is all about. You know, we've got an amazing community of women who all support each other, and I know that it's something that you feel strongly about as well. Why do you think it's so important for women to support women?
I just think that there's space for everyone, and I think women get shit done. How much swearing are we allowed to do on this?
Oh, lots. It's a Glasgow community.
I just think women get shit done. Women get stuff done very well, and I think that, you know, as a community of people who get things done, then supporting each other really goes hand in hand with that, you know. And it's the best type of way to be is to be supporting, you know, because women can be the other way. We can be quite feisty and fiery and, you know, tough. So I think it's always better for us. I think we're stronger together for sure, definitely.
Yes, I love that. So with it being International Women's Day, I thought I would ask you, who are the most influential women in your life and what's so special about them?
Oh my God. Well, in my own personal life, like my mum, my gran's like my number one. She's just an amazing woman. She's been through quite a lot in her life, suffered a lot of heartache and loss, and really independent. And she's older now. She's going to be 90 in April. But she was so independent for so long and never complained, you know, just kind of a real example of, you know, being quite stoic and getting shit done, you know. And so a really cool woman. And actually, as she's getting a bit softer in her old age and, you know, reveals more about herself. And the more she reveals to me about herself, the more I realise that there's things that, you know, things like she talks about sunsets and all, and I'm like, I love the sunset. And I'm like, that must be from her, you know, we watch sunsets together and things, and just like lovely. She loves art, she loves painting and things like that you wouldn't have expected, you know, from a woman, you know, growing up in the Gorbals. And, you know, you wouldn't imagine her sitting at her window painting, you know, it's just not kind of what women were doing in they times. But so she's like the number one, and my mum's an amazing woman as well, you know, was a military wife and went through such difficult times as well, like raising us when like my dad was away, like in bloody war zones, and my sister. So I've got three women in my core, you know, family. Yeah. And then I've got like women that I like, oh God, like women like Bette Midler and Julie Walters and Pink.
Yes.
I'm such a massive fan of Pink. I've always got Pink songs in my shows, and just like these great, you know, all round. I love, like, you know, work-wise all rounders, you know, women that do loads of different things, because quite often people put you in boxes in my industry, and people will say, oh, but you want to do all that, you know, what are you doing? Are you doing comedy? Are you doing drama? Are you singing? And I'm like, I'm just doing it all. I just want to do all of it. Like, these women do it, you know, like people like Bette Midler, like you look at her, or Julie Walters, you know, you're like, they do huge amounts of comedy, really heightened stuff, but they can also do stunning drama as well. So yeah.
I love that. And you know what, I love what you're saying about your gran being 90, because that's amazing. And I think that as a woman, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to like know myself more, value myself more, and also give less shits about other, you know, when you're younger, you care so much about how other people think about you. And as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, like, actually, I'm just getting a wee bit more, do you know what? If they don't like me, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But actually, imagine getting to 90, you must be like, have so much of that.
You think back to like when she was born, and you're like, the way the world looked and things, I just find it mind-blowing, like what she's lived through, you know. But and saying that about what people think, that you're saying, like, that's a part of my big part of my show as well, talking about who you're influenced by and why, and who you listen to, and who you worry about, like whose opinions you worry about and why do you worry about them. And you know, it's a comedy. I mean, we make it really funny, but there's loads of really important themes in there to make people think about just the way the way that we are, the pressure. It's basically the pressures that we're under and why we're under that pressure, you know, because we do care when we're young, especially when we're young.
Yeah.
What people think. And it seems to be as you get older that you learn it's not as important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Right, okay, so you know, you've shared a bit about being a multi-hyphenate, like you literally, you're doing the showbiz, you're doing the singing, you're doing the stand-up comedy and the acting. So can you tell us a wee bit about your journey in showbiz to date then, Leah?
Oh God, so, well, what did I do? My first job that I ever did was the Karen Dunbar show. There's a woman.
Yeah, there's a woman.
She's like a legend, and I was a massive fan of hers. Talk about being starstruck. I mean, I was doing impressions of Karen in school, and like 3 years later, I was on the set of her show going, I can't believe I'm doing this show. Like, it was like, I was mesmerised by her, and she was so incredible to me, really, really kind and encouraging, and just amazing. And that's where I started. And it's a really nice thing, actually, to say that I started with women like Gabe Quigley as well, who's an amazing actress, who also does a lot of theatre. Like, she's like a chameleon, Gabe. She plays such a variety of roles. And I worked with A2 women and an ensemble cast, but they were the two people that I was around the most. And like, what a starting point to watch and learn and look at behaviour, and you know, just the way you are, and like what Karen was like as a leading lady and how inclusive she was. And you know, she wasn't a diva in any way. She was just brilliant and wonderful to work with. And then I stayed in comedy for quite a while. So I did I did Grown Ups with Sheridan. That's when I met Sheridan Smith, who's another
Brilliant,
incredible woman. And written by Susan Nixon, who's another incredible woman, writer, creator of 2 Pints of Lager, who's now one of my really best friends, actually, Susan. Like, we're so close, and she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, an example of the difficulties of being a woman in a man's world, you know, in television, writing, comedy writing, you know, that kind of thing, producing and things like that.
yeah.
So in comedy, I went to work for with Greg McHugh, who wrote Tank Commander, and he wrote this beautiful part. So Julie was written for me. Like, it's just one of the most one of my biggest career highlights is having that character written for me, like, because he met me and he was like, what is this person? Like, and, she was written loosely, we like to say loosely based on me. But so I did Tank, and then I did a big amazing comedy written by another woman who was, and when I mentioned Greg, by the way, Greg McHugh, who wrote and created Tank Commander and is Gary Tank. He is a champion of women. Like
Amazing.
an absolute champion of women, and there are loads of men in the industry that are, but it is quite rare to have someone he really gets it, he really understands, and he's always learning, he always listens. You know, if I say to him, yeah, but my experience of that is this because, and he'll go, wow, God, that's really interesting to hear that side, you know. So he's really wonderful like that. And then I went and did this big 51 Shades of Maggie, which was a big body female comedy, and actually quite a lot of like really feminists actually were a bit disappointed in that show a wee bit, and they used to say like, oh, you're just being exploited, and because it was all about S&M and like this young girl's experience of it. But actually there was this moment in the play where it flipped on its head, like where she realized she was being like, this guy was being abusive, and you know, in true Glaswegian style, she actually like sticks the nut on him. So I'm like, actually, if you come and see it, you'll understand that actually there is she's very actually realizes what's happening to her, you know, and not that we're condoning violence, it was a fictional piece, but I'm just saying she did that. And then that was a really big turning point for me doing that, because I have always loved stage, and that's where you train in the theatre as an actor. And I hadn't done theatre for a long time, and when I did that I was terrified. It was a 2-hour, like one woman playing multiple parts, no scene changes, it was just me taught. It was so much dialogue, it was terrifying, but it was amazing. And it taught me about one woman comedy, and how, because I would never have been brave enough, I think, to just go, right, I'm going to do my own one woman show and put it out there. Getting to do a one woman show for a producer, Robert Kelly, who is another example of a producer who's brilliant to women. He employs loads and loads of women. He does a lot of female heavy shows. He's in association with the Dolls, who people know, who put on these huge big shows. My beautiful friend Gail, who's one of the Dolls, and Louise, and he's co-produces that with them. So it's nice. I've been very lucky actually, for the most part, not always, but very lucky through most of the time to have some really great. When you do work with men, they're really inclusive and good men who understand, you know, and are kind of and are supportive and value you the same way as they would value a man working, you know. And then from that, I went and I started doing my one woman stuff because I wanted to sing as well. And Maggie had no songs in it. And I was like, oh man, imagine what this would be like with songs, like something like this, but with songs in it. And that's when I started doing and then I joined RiverCity as well. So I had to make a choice for a while between the Maggie and the RiverCity, and it was very difficult. But I had to go and be part of that show because I'd wanted to be part of it for a long time. And then I ended up being there for 8 years.
Wow.
I know. Because it was wonderful. And do you know what as well? Ellie was written for me, which is such a beautiful thing. Like there's 3 times in my career I've had a part written for me, and RiverCity was one. So Julie was one, and RiverCity, Ellie was one. And I just think that's like, it's not often as an actor you can say that a part's been created for you. Like it's a really nice feeling. Like, and that was lovely. Graham Gordon and Donald McKinnon, who created Ellie, because they came to see Maggie. I invited them to come and see Maggie, and they were like, and I thought they're either going to go, because it was naughty, you know, but they could see it all. They could see all the journey of the character, and they wanted. Actually, Ellie was supposed to bring comedy in because she came in with Graham Lovely Grado. They came in together as a couple, but then she ended up being a lot softer and very high-moraled, and then I left the show last year, and I did want Rosie Molloy. So I met up with Sheridan again, and lovely Susan, and oh man, got to work for Hartswood, who are an incredible production company, and Sky. You know, it's my first Sky job, and what just the best cast, like just amazing experience. And then I've done a couple other things that there's things that are not out yet, and then there's another thing coming up which will be very big and very exciting.
Amazing. Like, what a journey.
It's all good.
What a journey.
It's hard. There's been in between the jobs though, there's been times where it's been really difficult, and there's, you know, it's not easy. It's not an easy job, and like I always say to young performers who are asking about it, I'm like, people go, it's really hard, you need it, and I'm like, they're not just saying it, it is so hard. And also you're running a business, which is part of what I didn't realise so much when I was younger, how much business you've got to do, you know, because it is a business as well, you know. So but
Absolutely, and you're your brand, aren't you?
yeah, listen, see, when it's going well, it's the best job in the whole entire world. Like, I love my job. I would do my job for free if there was a way for me to do it for free and make money and still be able to go to work at the same time, because I love it. I absolutely love my job so much. Like, and I'm lucky to be able to do a job that I love. But when you're not working and you get a lot of no's and you have to pick yourself up and you have to put yourself out there over and over again in castings, and that's very difficult. That can be really hard and deflating, and you can question your ability sometimes and things like that, but that's just part of it. And the payoff is so great when you get a big job. It's just the best feeling in the world. So
I mean, because that actually leads on to my next question, which was, you know, would you mind sharing some of the challenges? But I think you've kind of just answered it there, and based on, you know, getting those. And so how do you pick yourself up, you know, if you've been kind of really gearing towards a role and maybe potentially you don't get it?
I always think about, I've got a few close friends who are actors as well, and I always think about like what I say to them and what I genuinely believe when I say to them, like not just what I'm saying, like what I'm telling them is true. So things like, you know, it's genuinely not, it's especially not now, it's not always about your ability, it's not about you not being good, it's more than that. You know, there's people casting, especially in television, it's so difficult to cast. Like, they've got a vision of what they want and they've got all these pieces to fit together, and sometimes there's families, sometimes, you know, it's just like, it's such a big jigsaw, and they've got so many different people who decide, so they've all got to agree as well. So it's not always about your talent, and it's just so hard though, because it's very, very difficult to make people feel better, because I always like say to like people in my life that don't do my job, I'm like, you know, when people are going for a job interview and they're like up to there, and everybody knows about it. Normally, if you've got somebody in your family, everybody knows they're going for this job interview, and I'm like, that's what actors do sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a week, like go
My anxiety would be,
and you're like, but at the same time, you're used to it, and you want to be casting, you know. So you're like, this is great that I've got these castings, and you want more and more and more, because you've got more chance of getting jobs. So, but it is difficult to pick yourself up. But I'm very lucky, very grounded. I've got, I'm not from a Thesby family. My family are all muggles. So I call them. Am I either muggles? So no, my family are all, I mean, they've got brilliant jobs of their own, and they're not in this industry, and so they'll keep you, your family will keep you on the ground, but also huge support and belief. Like, if you've got people around you that believe in you, like people telling you like, I believe in you, that's a big deal, because you need that, because you can have self-doubt. Even the most confident and the strongest and the most experienced, you know, I've been doing this for like 20 years now, man. I can't believe that. And it's like, sometimes you do doubt yourself a bit, and then you've got to kind of remember, you know, what you would tell other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And be kind to yourself as well, because you like, sometimes you are the least kind to yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
When you are, so, you know, when you're preparing for like a casting session or like a big show, like you were saying, you know, like hour and a half long, like one woman show, how do you deal with like nerves?
I get very nervous before I go on stage, like really nervous still. It's really difficult, but you've got training to combat nerves, and you're really prepped, especially for going on stage. Television can be more nervy because you're prepped to an extent, but words change and you don't really always know how someone's going to do the scene. And whereas at theatre, you're fully rehearsed, so you know what you're going to do and you've rehearsed it. One woman stuff's a bit different because there's not always as much rehearsal, because it's just me, and a lot of it you don't know if it's going to work until you do it. But that's an amazing feeling when you go out. I always go out for my shows and try and do a song first, because that calms me down a bit, and I can see everyone. I can get a feel when I go out of what the audience are like, you know, how naughty they're going to be. They're really loud, I'm like, right, they might be a bit naughty, or, you know, if they're not so loud, you go, right, they might need a little bit of encouragement, you know, to G them up a bit. And but you just got it. It's a really weird thing though, 'cause it's very quiet. So everybody's in this room, all these people you've invited, and it's loud and everybody's dead excited. And if you were filming it and you cut to the dressing room, it's like silence, very quiet, very, very calm, and loads of technical things going on that people would like, no way, like you're doing vocal warm-ups, steaming, all these things, like steaming my throat, not steaming.
Okay.
And like all that stuff, and people were like, no way. You're like, yeah, that's happening backstage. And then we always put on Jerry Cinnamon. I always put Sometimes by Jerry Cinnamon on,
Yeah,
and have a bit of him playing. And then right before I go on stage, we always play Paolo Nutini, Pencil Full of Lead.
nice. Love it.
My favourite.
Amazing.
It just happened once, I think, and then now it's like,
That's it.
we got to put it on.
Love it. I love it, love it, love it. Right, okay, so let's talk about the show then. Let's chat about Leah MacRae Weighs In. What can people expect?
So much fun, honestly. And like, I'm still overwhelmed. Like, so see, we did Perth. I did Perth. There is a team, but like, I'm on my own on the stage and I forget. I sometimes say we because it makes me feel better because I'm not on my own. But we did, because there's Martin and Russell as well, and we went to Perth, and there's a lovely bit in the show towards the end where there's a wee turning point, and I talk about certain things, and then there's this ballad, it's like an Adele ballad, and like it's just like had a standing ovation like at the end, in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, absolutely, like, it was so overwhelming. Like, it was just so overwhelming. It was so beautiful, you know. And it's like, I forget how much that wee bit means to them, because it's about mental health. But I don't want to put people off and have people thinking that, oh, the show's all doom and gloom. It's not. The show's real fun, and there's things that happen through the show, and then there's just a wee turning point where there's a wee reveal, and people go, oh. All right, and it's like, it's a nice wee moment, and I'm just amazed at I'm always amazed at the response, and I love seeing the video. Russell does videos when the audience come out, and I don't get to see that ever, obviously, because I'm in the dressing room. See, when you see your audience coming out of your show like that,
buzzing,
like it makes it's the whole world. You're like, oh my God, look at their faces, like. They're just like, and they're what you want. You want to take them away, and that's what I say at the end of the show. And do want to take everybody away, and everybody's in a wee safe bubble away from all their worries. Like, that's what theatre's about. It's what entertainment's about. It's certainly what my shows are about. And it's like everybody's laughing. They're laughing so hard, you know. And it's like big waves and waves. It's like it just keeps coming and coming, and then at the end they're up, they're dancing to the last song, and it's just such a lovely. And I do get nervous before I go on, and I forget, and I talk about that in the show as well, that I wish I could bottle up the feeling and keep it and play it back to myself so that I could have that feeling all the time, because I would never be nervous. I would never, I would be on, right, hi, like I'd just be on like straight away, but I do think you need the nerves. I think the nerves are because there's a lot of dialogue. You've got to get it right. If you don't get it right, it's not going to be like that. They're not going to have that experience. So there's a lot of responsibility to get what you've written right, for it to work the way it works as well. So,
and also,
there's no better feeling.
If you're talking about mental health as well, I can imagine there's a lot of vulnerability in what you're saying. So again, that's nerve-wracking, isn't it?
It depends what kind of day I've had as well. Like if it's funny because if I have been having an anxious day, and sometimes you can be having an anxious day because you're doing, it was like, that was the first show I've done since the end of October. So I did feel a bit anxious. And so then when you're talking about anxiety, it's really close. It's so, what you're saying is like, it's real. And so it can feel quite emotional as well. But I just think that's important. And if that emotion's there, then it just gets embraced, because you do see people with the glasses is always a giveaway for me, empty glasses. You just see glasses coming off, and so people are like having a wee moment where they get it. And then there's people that said to me like, look at how red I'm getting. This, remember we talked about that? How hot we get.
Like I've
Put
got
my
it
ring
on.
light on because my living room's so dark, and I'm like that. I'm just like getting redder and redder as we go.
No, that's fine.
I can't even remember what I was saying now. I'm distracted by my big tomato face.
So you were talking about the glasses as a giveaway.
Yeah, they just feel, and they said, sometimes people send messages and say, I wasn't going to come out tonight, or this is my first night out because of my anxiety. And they didn't realise quite, if they know, I've told people anxiety's in it now for that reason. I didn't see when we first did the weigh-in show, I didn't tell anyone.
Okay.
And I never used to advertise it because it is a surprise moment in the show, right? But I tell people now that anxiety's in it because more and more people come to watch it because they know we're talking about something that they struggle with, you know. And it's not just anxiety, it's like, you know, how people feel about themselves. So there's loads of things that come with that.
Yeah.
You know, there's fun stuff in it too.
Oh, absolutely. And
there's David Attenborough. There's tampons. The tampon song is a showstopper, by the way. Like the educational tampon song that we sing to anybody who's embarrassed buying tampons, anybody who sing the tampon song, and it's a 5-minute set piece that Brian O'Sullivan wrote for me, and he is epic, and it's a showstopper.
Go to a tampon, absolutely. Well, it's worth it.
Go to a tampon, that's what I should have called it. Take it. Oh, that's funny.
No, I love it. Right, okay. And a lot of what you're saying there totally resonates with me as well. I make no I'm very honest in the GGC about my kind of anxious feelings, and it's always been something that I've had since I was a wee girl. And actually I was listening to your podcast with Lindsay Reid earlier, the Confidence Diaries, which I loved. It was a great podcast. And I thought what you said in the podcast, you know, you spoke about if you know somebody who, when they were younger, who was always a wee worrier, and people were like, oh, you're a wee worrier. And actually, like, I connected with that so much because I was always known as a wee worrier when I was young, but it's not about there even being a worry, is it? It's just about that feeling that you're looking for something to worry about because you've got.
Honestly, Laura, you would love that part.
See
that whole section of the show, you would love it because that is exactly.
I'm going to be there.
Honestly, you'll really, because it's like you get it. I'm like, you used to be worried, and I talk about that and what it means and actually what it is, and but it's not. It's at the end. It's towards the end of the show that we talk about it. I say this all.
We love it, the royal we. I always do it as well.
It makes me feel less vulnerable. You're like, no, Leah, you're up there yourself.
No, I love it. So this is your first time at the Glasgow International Comedy Festival, is that right?
This is my first Glasgow. I've done the Fringe a good few times. I've never done the Glasgow Festival, and so how lovely, like. The Glasgow Comedy Festival. I'm excited. I am really excited. There's some brilliant acts on at the festival, like brilliant.
Love it. And the show, Leah, is Friday the 23rd of March. Thursday the 23rd.
It's a Thursday, so it's a naughty one. It's a Thursday night.
School night, even better.
It's good because there's no interval, so you still get home at a decent time. So it's 80 minutes. No, in fact, Glasgow Comedy Festival shows shorter. It's 70 minutes.
70 minutes.
It's supposed to be about an hour, but I'm like, guys, I'm going to need 70 minutes.
I love it.
I say this because I've got songs. It's Thursday the 23rd of March. Thursday the 23rd of March at the Oran Mor.
7:30 for showtime. Now we've actually just launched, which was part of the reason that this was slightly delayed, the competition to win 2 tickets. So we're giving away 2 tickets. Leah is very kindly giving away 2 tickets to her show on Thursday the 23rd of March in the Oran Mor. So to enter, all you need to do is head over to the Glasgow Girls Club Facebook page now, and you'll see the competition. And we've just got tag your pal that you'll take and share to be in with the chance of winning it. We're closing it this time next week, just before 5 p.m, and we'll be drawing a lucky winner to take their pal. And I am actually just going to go straight onto the website and buy a ticket because
I'm sure we'll squeeze you in.
No, honestly, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the show. And actually, if anybody ever just needs a wee pick me up, watch Leah's tutorial.
It is, and see when I watch because it's your show, so you're going to be biased, right? But see when I genuinely watch the audience, and then when I watch the footage back at night that we've taken, I genuinely go, do you know what? I would like to see that show. I would feel good going to see that, and you know what it's about, what it represents, and how it makes people feel. It's not just for girls, though. I would say it's not just for women or people identify as women. It's a show that has multiple dynamics through it. There's loads of stuff in it about multiple different topics. There are loads of couples who go, you know, same-sex couples and couples together, you know, like the men and women coming together, like, so there is a big mix of people there. But that said, and evening out with your pals and your gal pals, there's no better option.
there's no better beating it. And actually, you said about viewing people coming out and what they've got to say about your show. If you watch the video that's linked to the competition, you'll see the reactions of some of Leah's audience, and it's actually so lovely to watch.
It is lovely. It is. So if you don't want to wait, because it's a small, well, it's not a small space, but it's small for some of the shows that we do. So it's an intimate-ish venue, Oran Mor, and it's well over half full just now. So if you don't want to wait, if you don't want to risk, you know, not winning the competition, you can get tickets on my website. It's leahmacrae.com, and all the different, because there's other dates. There's Airgate on Friday, which is very exciting.
Nice.
It's a lovely venue. And then we've got the comedy festival, and then after that I've got St Andrews and Dumfries as well.
Nice.
So all the dates are on there on the website for all the different shows. Look at my tomato face.
No, honestly, I'm the exact same. I'm like, I feel like I need to get like a
wet
tranny
gym.
down. But I'm going to just go through the comments, Leah, just to see if there's any questions. So we've got.
We get loads of people watching us.
Totally starstruck. There will be. There's some good few comments, which is lovely. So Lindsay from the Body Confidence and Confidence Diary podcast saying hello, you two.
Love Lindsay.
Payne saying totally starstruck. Angela McVicker, hello. Liz Wood, hi. Sheila Drysdale's been tagged. Claire Bailey, who is my GGC community coordinator, membership coordinator, she's going, Gary. Julie is my fave.
Your screen goes on that made it even funnier. Your screen is like, oh.
Love it. So Sheila's saying just bought a ticket, looking forward to it. That's the spirit.
Thank you, Sheila.
Get right on it. Billy Joel show sounds amazing. Donna McLachlan, brilliant. Leah, like some really, really lovely support.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Get on and buy your tickets. Let's all go together. I'm going straight on to buy mine now as well. So Leah, listen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Honestly, what a joy.
What a joy. Like, yes, absolutely. I'm literally going to go and get a wet chamois.
You look complete. I am actually like a tomato.
No, you're not at all. No, honestly, I know I've got it myself. It's fine. It's International Women's Day. It's been a busy day.
It has. It has. That's just the light, isn't it, of us, the warmth.
That's it, exactly. Well, listen, thank you. I'm so grateful for you for taking the time.
I know thank you.
We're all inspired by you. Keep up the amazing showbiz work that you're doing. And we'll see you on the 23rd, Thursday.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye to everyone watching, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.